Things are gonna get crazy!
Most everyone's mad here. Hey everybody! I'm a Yoda from the Star Wars Episode V, Return of the Strikes Back! How is everybody doing today, y'all? Huh? How's everybody doing? Let me hear it. So, people ready? People good? Well, it doesn't matter anyway, because I can't see jack all underneath this thing.
Seriously, I don't think this is supposed to be a legitimate mask. I think this is supposed to be just a collector's item, but I made something a bit sacrilegious with it. Oh, and thank you, KS, for the subscription, by the way. Yes, so, as you can probably tell, ooh, actually, just from the look of things, it looks much better this way. I might keep it on just like as like a hat. I don't know, maybe, hold on a sec. Actually, let me just try something. Yeah! Ooh. NJ Monty too, thank you for the subscription. Come on. Ah. Now this, I think I can get used to. Or maybe not. I don't know if I could go on for like 2 hours like this. But anyways, yes, it's a Halloween special edition of AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast, and I decided I might as well get a little bit festive and just go crazy with this little impromptu costume here. But also, I just want to go and start things out by addressing last week, since there was no episode because it was one of the very rare moments where it was just a very dry week and there was very little things to go and talk about. Like, yeah, sure, there was probably the Roderick Rules trailer, and there was that update to the Bayonetta controversy, in which it actually turned out that Helena Taylor actually lied about not being offered a good pay for reprising her role as Bayonetta. But other than that, though, there was just not a whole lot to go and discuss, so I decided to go and just take a break for a whole week from the podcast and just come back starting in fresh. But I can tell you right now that things are about to change a little bit. Because the thing is that while I was taking that break, I was also working a little bit behind the scenes where I wanted to go and make some significant updates to the podcast. First of all, there is the tech side of things where I did get myself a new professional microphone, so hopefully I'll sound a little bit better for this show. But also, I have been working on something new, something that I am sure you guys will very much appreciate, something that honestly I should have done a long time ago, but now I have finally gotten the power to do so. So I hope you're all ready for this, because believe it or not, I have now found the ability to control when to put on the ads. Yes, that is actually a thing that I'm trying to do so far. I know that ads can be very disruptive, especially during the show. And by the way, I'm speaking all this during the viewing of Twitch. This is not necessarily reflective on either listening to the podcast on whatever podcast service you're listening to, whether it be on Amazon, Spotify, Google Play, iTunes, or whatever. And this does not necessarily reflect on YouTube, but during the live viewing with Twitch, I have now found the power to go and place the ads whenever I want. So now I am able to go and immediately place them in between the show, in between the stories. So whenever there's a break, instead of just watching me for a few seconds, taking a sip of water, you can actually have, it's going to be a longer break, but it will still be a break in between where it is well needed. However, there is a little bit of a catch where I can't fully control when I would place the ads, because Twitch would not close off the automated system for the ads, because pretty much the best that I could do is that every 30 minutes, that's when an ad would go and activate. And I wanted to try to test that out at the very beginning, like before the show would start. I would go and play an ad so that I would start the timer going to, like, you know, starting at 30 minutes. And by the way, Chatwell, I would like to know, when I started this podcast, did an ad play? I don't know. Some people mentioned that they only saw a black screen. So I just want to be 100% sure, just to know. So keep in mind, this is not, okay, yes, sometimes no. Okay, oh, so some people did get it. Okay, so I know, okay, so apparently it's like a mix of yes and no. Although keep in mind, if you are subscribed to my Twitch channel, then you wouldn't see the ads. So I'm just giving you a heads up on that. Okay, so apparently it's like a yes and a no, but keep in mind, this is not going to be perfect. So I'm going to do the best that I can to go and experiment and see if things can really work out in order to place the ads correctly. And I will have a timer to go and warn you that if I do exceed like 30 minutes, or if it's going to be like the automated ads are going to happen, then I'm going to warn you and I will put up a break. So I'm just giving you I'm just going to go and give you a bit of a heads up on that. So again, this is all experimental, but I'm just doing the best I can to ensure that everything works. And I want to make sure that this new system fully works out. Maybe one day I'll go and do like a bit of a test, like during the weekday, to fully be sure that things can actually work out with this thing. But we'll see. We'll see. All right. So with that said and done, I would like to go into the chat wall, and I want to ask you all, are you ready for today's episode of AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast? Let me hear it, folks. Are you all prepared for this? Yes, I mean, I know some of you have been waiting for about 2 weeks for this, so that's exciting to see. That's great to hear. And now, with that said and done, it is now time that we shall go and get things started. And here, first of all, let me just go and well, then let me fix something up, because apparently there is someone who is ban evading, trying to think they're smart, but here, go and block. Right, there we go. So now let's go and get ready to fully start this thing. And the first story that we are about to get into, this is actually going to be the biggest entertainment news of the week. Not necessarily the biggest news, but the biggest entertainment one, because this is actually one that is actually very unexpected. And we know that when it comes to this specific franchise, it's been pretty messy so far. Even with the latest movie that has been released not long ago, it's not been going as great as its competitors per se. But now they are going to go and do a massive update to it. And we just received a very significant one that Warner Brothers Discovery wanted to do for a while. And this is actually one that I got to say, it's actually very promising. And I think I could pretty much say that this is the first time in a very, very long time that I actually feel excited for the future of DC, or at least in terms of DC adaptations. And what I am talking about is specifically regarding DC and the new bosses, James Gunn and Peter Safran. I can't control, fudge nabbit, I can't control my mouse with these things. All right, well, I guess costume time is over. Hold on a sec. Let me just, gotta go and, do a little, strip for you guys, or at least, hold on a sec. Give me a sec. Okay. This is not touch, this is not like Mac mouse friendly, so just go and, okay. There we go. All right. And all right, I just needed to get rid of the zipper, so there we go. Okay, now I got full control. All right. Anyways, where was I again? Yes, right here. James Gunn and Peter Safran have now been announced to be the new co-chairs and new co-CEOs of a brand new division within Warner Brothers Discovery called DC Studios, which is going to be the film company that will be in charge of any adaptation from DC that is related to film, to television, and with animation. And what these two are going to do, what they will be placed, is that Peter Safran, his job is actually going to be more in the business side of things. He's going to be handling productions and he will be handling business. Whereas James Gunn, on the other hand, he will be more in charge of the creative aspect. When it comes to the filmmaking process, when it comes to crafting these stories, when it comes to how they will be visually presented, James Gunn is actually going to be leading the way on that. In fact, I'm going to go into detail about what specifically they're going to do, reading from my source here on The Hollywood Reporter. As it states right over here, Gunn will focus on the creative side of things, while Safran will focus on the business and production side. Both are expected to continue to direct and produce projects respectively. They will report directly to David Zaslav and work closely with Warner film bosses Michael DeLuca and Pamela Abdi. Sources say the deal runs 4 years and Gunn will be exclusive to DC. The goal is for them to not just be producers, but to truly function as executives, even as Gunn will occasionally hone a movie. So it looks like in 4 years, or at least from up to 2026 or even 2027, depending on how long or when this contract is officially going to start, it looks like James Gunn is going to stick exclusively with making DC films. So what we have seen with the Suicide Squad, we will be seeing a lot more of in the future, apparently, or at least more of that style of filmmaking from James Gunn, and more of the, or at least not necessarily spin-offs of Suicide Squad, but we will be seeing more of that filmmaking style. That's basically the point that I'm trying to make. We have also gotten a quote here coming from David Zaslav himself, commenting about Gunn and Safran, to which he states, DC has among the most entertaining, powerful, and iconic characters in the world, and I am thrilled to have the singular and complementary talents of James Gunn and Peter joining our world-class team and overseeing the creative direction of the storied DC universe. Their decades of experience in filmmaking, close ties to the creative community, and proven track record thrilling superhero fans around the globe make them uniquely qualified to develop a long-term strategy across film, TV, and animation, and take this iconic franchise to the next level of creative storytelling. So it looks like this is going to be the next chapter of DC adaptations, now with Peter Safran and James Gunn leading the way. And I gotta say, this is actually a bit of a Halloween theme right over here, because, well, we got a little bit of a jump scare of a news, considering that Warner Brothers Discovery has made a decision that's actually good, that's actually very promising for their future, that it feels like we are going to get legitimate, high quality entertainment coming from them. This is actually a smart move that could legitimately make them money. Like, what kind of freaky world do we live in? Holy crap, I never thought I'd see the day that suddenly I would be praising a decision made by Warner Brothers Discovery. That, like, after all the weeks of the stupid things that they have done and the billions of dollars that just they decided to throw out the window, now they made a choice that actually is very good. You know, honestly, it should not be a surprise that they're doing something that's going to be completely different than the DC franchise that they have right now, at least in terms of the cinematic universe that they're trying to run, especially with what we currently have with Black Adam. Because let's be honest, people, it's not working. Even right now with Black Adam, it's been very mixed both with critics and audiences, and that's honestly a very nice way of putting it. And on top of that, we also see that the box office is not necessarily that great either. I mean, it's okay. It's been doing pretty decently, and there is a good chance that Black Adam might end up turning a profit, but it is nothing compared to the numbers that the Marvel movies have been making, even this year. Like, even compared to Doctor Strange and compared to Thor, like, they have made so much more at the point of where where Black Adam is right now. And that's just one example. And we know, like, and I have covered this before, of how Warner Brothers Discovery is desperate to try to reboot the DC universe in terms of how we see it in film and television and even in animation. Like, they want a full-on reboot because what they have going on right now is not working, especially when they're like ball and chained to the demands of the Snyder fans. And really, that seems to be the big Achilles heel that they realize that they need to break from. They need to let go and ultimately heal from, and that is the whole Snyderverse mentality and the Zack Snyder style of filmmaking that just makes these movies, well, in lack of a better term, not fun. Like, it seems like, ironically enough, the things that the Snyderverse fanboys desperately want from the Warner Brothers movies, it's pretty much what's taking them away from being as successful as the Marvel movies. In fact, it's funny because, like, so far the best ones or the most successful and the best DC movies in recent years are the ones that try to avoid the Zack Snyder style, like Shazam or the Batman, or I'd even throw in Joker at the same time. These like, the thing is that they need to find a solution to try to walk away from it. And that seems to be what they have found right now with the solution that they have over here with James Gunn and Peter Safran, especially in regards to what they have done for DC. And that is with last year's The Suicide Squad. Now, if you guys, maybe you guys have seen it, maybe you guys haven't, but even though it didn't necessarily do well at the box office, it was the best movie release in terms of the DC cinematic universe, or those that technically count in that DC cinematic universe, because unlike the Snyder style movies, the Suicide Squad is actually more emphasized into being fun. James Gunn pretty much took that Guardians of the Galaxy filmmaking mentality and applied that onto DC to give them their Guardians of the Galaxy, and it ended up working so well, and it ended up working so much better that, in a way, that even though it didn't do well at the box office, it did eventually become a sleeper hit, even to the point where it ended up getting a spin-off series with Peacemaker. And I guess ultimately it worked out so well that it pretty much secured James Gunn into getting one of the CEO roles of DC Studios. It's incredible. And for me, I'm actually very much excited to see more of what James Gunn has. Like, already I could tell with like even with the stuff that like he has with Marvel, I'm excited for those too. Like with the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special, in which they recently put out a trailer for. That one I'm very optimistic for. And of course, I'm definitely excited with Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. I really enjoyed the first two films, so of course I'm gonna go and check out number 3 as well. So I'm definitely hyped up for that. And now he's gonna go and take that onto DC, and we're gonna get more of those feature films. That honestly makes me excited. Now, at this point, I feel pretty hyped up. Like, I'm gonna be honest though. I'm not saying that I'm not excited for any future Marvel, for future DC films that they would come out. Like so far, what Matt Walsh has done with the Batman, that was actually really awesome, and I can't wait to see more of those movies to come out as well. But now with the addition that we're gonna get more James Gunn style movies, that got me excited. That got me pretty hyped up. And as I said before, it makes me very optimistic about the future of DC. And we know for a fact that that Warner Brothers Discovery, they're pretty much desperate to try to stay away. Like they really want to go and fully reboot what they have with DC, to the point where like they regret all the stuff that they've done with Snyder. Like even you've heard the reports about Zack Snyder's Justice League is one of their biggest regrets, and it ended up making them lose money even more than what they already had with the Joss Whedon version. So they want to make sure that like all the things related to the Snyderverse, with the toxic fan base, they want to try to get away with all that and try to have a fresh start. And honestly, going into the direction of the Suicide Squad with James Gunn, and I'll even give credit to Peter Safran because he was also a producer of that, I think it's actually going to work out very, very well. So honestly, it makes me really hyped up for all of this. I don't know like what he's going to do. I don't know what other movies that are going to be coming up in DC, or at least like after the initial movies that we have right now, like after Aquaman 2, after The Flash, after Shazam 2 and stuff like that. Like I want to see, like I guess like we're going to see it go full effect onto 2024 onward, and we'll see how that goes. And then we're going to see like a brand new chapter of these DC films. And keep in mind, this is only related to the movies. Like I have yet to even discuss about the possibilities of what they could do with the TV shows and even the animated stuff. Now, hopefully with the animation, they won't go and change it all that much. Like that's the one request that I am demanding and that I am hoping for, that they don't go and alter, you know, and like try to alter it too much. Like the stuff that they have already, especially with Harley Quinn, is fantastic. Like hopefully they will keep that going and they will keep that momentum continue with those styles of animated content that they will put out. But then you got the TV works. And, you know, considering that they're going to go and really start fresh with this new DC universe and with DC Studios, like if they want to go into that Marvel route as well, and they want to make DC Cinematic Universe TV shows that they will put on HBO Max or whatever streaming service Warner Brothers Discovery wants to do next year, like if they want to go in that direction, that gives them the perfect opportunity to go and do so. So honestly, there's a lot of possibilities that they could go, but personally, I think the best direction that they could go and take is that they will go with much less Snyder content and they will go with more Gunn style content. And I know that so far we have seen a lot of Snyder fanboys that they are coping hard, as the young kids would go and say. Like they are coping badly and they're not handling the news seriously, and pretty much like some of them so far have pretty much accepted that their dreams of this whole Snyderverse are pretty much dead, especially now that they are going to go in a direction of like something that is more enjoyable and more fun, and getting rid of all those like testosterone edgelord kind of garbage that makes the that makes like a lot of the DC films in recent years just flat out boring and unpleasant. So like I've seen a whole bunch, and even some are saying that, well, I mean, now that James Gunn is going to be in charge, he is associated with Zack Snyder. They did work together in that Dawn of the Dead movie, so I'm sure James Gunn will bring back Zack Snyder for more content. No, they won't. As I said before, Warner Brothers Discovery is doing everything they can to distance themselves from that Zack Snyder style of DC universe. Even Zack Snyder himself wants to distance himself from both the toxic fan base. Like he even called out like some of the more extremist ones, like you know, like that white nationalist channel, Geeks and Gamers. Like he condemned them like in front of their face. And like you know, he just wants to move on from it. There is no, like, you pretty much have to accept the fact that there will be no more Zack Snyder style DC films, and we're now gonna get DC movies that are actually gonna be fun and that are actually gonna be good. So honestly, that's the one thing that I am hoping for the most. And I definitely do trust James Gunn is going to lead the way to make sure that that everything would go and work out for DC, that they would go and produce features that are going to be more enjoyable and much more palatable for audiences that they can have fun with. And also, there is one more thing that I do want to mention, however, and this is like possibly the biggest irony of them all. It's just, my God, like there. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry. There's just one troll that's like desperately doing everything they can to not be yes. Okay. Anyways, back to what I was saying. All right. Oh yes, I do remember the biggest irony of them all. Speaking of trolls, actually, is that it's kind of funny to see the massive rise in James Gunn's career, that he has now reached this point. You got to keep in mind that all of this has happened because a little over 4 years ago, he ended up getting fired from Marvel because of some old tweets that happened that have been shared by some, well, I can pretty much say right now, neo-Nazis. You probably remember back in the summer of 2018 when there was a neo-Nazi group that tried to cancel James Gunn, that were desperate to try to take him down because James Gunn was openly critical to Donald Trump. And because they got so pissed off that he would be bad-mouthing their favorite Fuhrer, they want to go and try to desperately cancel him and try to bring up some old tweets from 10 years ago, which prompted Disney and Marvel to let James Gunn go. And at that point, Disney and Marvel received some significant backlash, to the point where now other companies saw that as a perfect opportunity to bring in James Gunn, which is how Warner Brothers actually managed to hire James Gunn to go and work on the Suicide Squad. And then eventually later, Marvel decided to change their mind and bring back James Gunn, not only to go and work on Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, but also on some of the other projects, such as the holiday special, and even on some of the Disney rides, just like Cosmic Rewind. And now he is at the point where James Gunn is in charge of DC Studios, that he is the co-chair and the co-CEO, and he's the one that is creatively leading the future of the DC projects, rather they be for film, television, and animation. And it's honestly just hilarious. Like, honestly, if those Snyder fanboys are so triggered and pissed off that their dreams of the Snyderverse is flat out dead, then blame those neo-Nazis who tried to cancel James Gunn, because they actually caused James Gunn to go down upwards, if you get what I mean. So yeah, honestly, overall, I'm just very excited for the future of DC now. I'm definitely a lot more optimistic with what they are going to do, especially if they're going to be planning on rebooting their entire cinematic universe. And I think right now it is definitely in good hands with James Gunn and Peter Safran. And also, I just want to mention, I know a lot of people are pretty worried about David Zaslav, like if he'll come in and he'll go and like screw a lot of things up. But then again, if he would go and make a decision of bringing in James Gunn, hopefully Gunn's influence will be much stronger than Zaslav. And with that said, we'll be right back. We're going to go and take a bit of a commercial break for now. But when we return, I'm going to go and ask the chat wall, what do you all think about the news about James Gunn and Peter Safran being in charge? So we'll go and take a break, and we will be right back. All right, and we're back. Okay, so I'm glad so far it is working. It is pretty nice. Maybe I would have to go and adjust a few things, but now it is time that I want to ask the chat wall, what do you all think about the entire news about James Gunn and Peter Safran leading DC Studios? Are you guys excited for the future of DC movies? What are you guys hoping for? And what are you worried about with the future of the DC content? Let me know what you all think about this. Okay, let's see now. Color me surprised. Warner Brothers Discovery made a good decision. James Gunn has absolutely proven how he can handle superhero properties like with the Guardians of the Galaxy. I think having him being in charge of DC is a great idea. So overall, this is a great idea. And honestly, I'm hoping it will make the Snyderverse fanboys shut up once and for all. Although it might not stop anytime soon because of Henry Cavill coming back as Superman, which could enable them more. Well, yeah, okay. I know that there are going to be some of the actors who will remain there. Like, I know Gal Gadot, Jason Momoa, and now Henry Cavill will still remain in the DC universe. They will still be playing their respective roles as Aquaman, Wonder Woman, and Superman, respectively. But the interesting thing is, when it comes to Superman, apparently Henry Cavill put out a message where he says that apparently, or at least hinting, that this is going to be a way more different Superman than what we have gotten in stuff like Man of Steel, Batman v Superman, and in Justice League, where he's going to be much less of an edgelord and he's going to be a lot more joyful. Apparently, that seems to be Henry Cavill's own words, that this is going to be a more a much more joyful Superman. So he could turn out to be someone who will be much more different than what we have seen before. And if that's the case, then honestly, I'm all on board on this, especially when Henry Cavill has proven that he could be a very solid actor, and I can imagine he can actually be a pretty solid Superman as well. He just needs he just needs actual good material in order to go and stay, be a worthy Superman that could be in the leagues of what we have seen in the past, like Christopher Lee. Christopher Lee. Sorry, I mean Christopher Reeve. Okay, there we go. So yeah, if we could get that kind of Superman, then honestly, it would. I think this would really work out. Let's see. I'm gonna do something a little different and ask, what was Mike Chernovich thinking about this? Yeah, remember that right-wing butthole surfer who tried to get James Gunn kicked out of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 for things that, ironically, he's guilty of himself? Yeah, that really bit him in the ass, since not only getting Guardians 3, and not only are we getting a Guardians 3 and a holiday special, but we also got the best DCEU movie, a kick-ass Peacemaker show, and now he's the co-head honcho of DC. Don't forget to text your mom this. Pretty much. Like, that's the big irony. That's what I meant before about the fact that that these people caused James Gunn to fall upwards, where now he is in charge of DC. We're pretty much canceling the Snyderverse in favor of having a Gunverse, if you will. But let's not call that a Gunverse, because that sounds absolutely stupid. Okay, let's see what other comments we got here. For all the bad stuff that Warner Brothers Discovery has given us, this is the only good thing that we got from WBD. With James Gunn in charge of DC cinema and, of course, television and animation, I'm really happy of what we got since Zack Snyder came to make his version of the DCEU. I really like the Suicide Squad and Guardians of the Galaxy films. Seriously, vote for James Gunn, you guys. He deserves the likes. And don't forget, they're making a Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special if you saw the trailer. Of course. I mean, so far, all the Guardians of the Galaxy stuff is from James Gunn. Like, not just like the holiday special and the movies, but also the theme park rides like Mission Breakout at Disneyland, and of course the new Cosmic Rewind at Epcot. And yeah, so even though it is sad that James Gunn won't be returning to Marvel for a long time, it is still going to be exciting that he will be working at DC, and especially seeing the enthusiasm from Kevin Feige. That's also a great thing to see, where he was actually very supportive of James Gunn, even to the point of saying that he wants to be first in line to see what James Gunn has in store with the future of DC movies. So honestly, I'm glad to see like this whole rivalry bullcrap thing. Like, there's no war, there's no like bitter war going on, and there's like, it's like very friendly, like almost not even a rivalry. It's like really just this massive friendship going on between the two. It's just all around great to see this positivity going around, especially with this news. Let's see now. This is possibly the best thing that has ever come out from Warner Brothers Discovery since the acquisition. The best DC films that ever came out from DCEU are the ones from James Gunn and Safran, like Shazam and The Suicide Squad. So it makes sense why Warner Brothers Discovery would go with these guys. Safran has done well for the business side since the Conjuring films, and Gunn usually does with the creative story side too, like with the Guardians films, so I wish these guys the best of luck in handling the reformed DC studios. You know, honestly, you bring up a very good point, because I almost forgot that Safran did have some experience before with the recent DC films, not just with the Suicide Squad, but also with the Shazam movies, which could actually explain how Shazam turned out to be one of the better DCEU films. So, you know, it honestly does make sense. Like, he's got the experience, and now, like, he is fully in charge of it, and hopefully with that combo, we're gonna get more of those Suicide Squad / Shazam style fun now sprinkling everywhere, like also with Aquaman, with Wonder Woman, with Superman, and who knows, maybe even with the new cinematic universe Batman that they could go and think up. Rather, like, even if it would be with Ben Affleck or not, who knows. Let's see, what other comments do we have? As someone who is greatly fond of the MCU and the Guardians of the Galaxy films, I am super curious to how James Gunn is going to handle with DC, but already there's a bit of controversy about it. Let's say I know someone on DeviantArt who is fear-mongering about James mainly because of the joke he made back in 2009. Really? Like, that whole, really? Like, they still believe in that stupid thing? Oh. He's been posting dozens of negative image about James being in charge. I'm tempted to try to reason with him and say shut up, but I fear he might say that I'm supporting a quote-unquote pedo. Yeah, honestly, like, you know, the irony is that is the exact strategy that those neo-Nazis have done back in 2018 to try to cancel James Gunn. Like, I'm surprised they're still trying to do that thing again in the hopes that, oh, maybe it'll work this time. No, you went through this already. You already used those weapons and it did not work. That, in fact, ironically enough, it's because of those old tweets from back in 2009 is why James Gunn is in this position in the first place. So, but yeah, honestly, that DeviantArt person is a lost cause. Like, honestly, I don't even know what, like, honestly, I wouldn't even bother, like, interacting with any of those people on DeviantArt, because I feel like if you're going to go into the community side of the website, like, and this does not reflect on anyone, but there is honestly a toxicity within DeviantArt that not many people are talking about, and that they should. You know, honestly, I feel like discussion that kind of discussion should be brought up a bit more. All right, I think I'm going to read one more comment before we go into the next story. Let's see. I'll go here. Oh, hey, WBD made a decent decision. Let's see how long that lasts. Again, while this sounds like a great idea, I feel like with the Warner Brothers Discovery right now is still on a shaky ground. There's so much that could go wrong because of WBD's track record this year that I can't imagine even slightly good news might not last. I want to be optimistic, but I can't. Okay, I mean, I understand, and I mean, I only glanced through it before we went on that commercial break, but I completely get it. I completely understand how you feel, because with the current stance with how David Zaslav is running things and like how destructive he is with Warner Brothers Discovery, yeah, it's hard to imagine that things could really go well and that he might pull another Batgirl or Scoob Holiday Haunts, and like when there's a project that's almost finished, he'll just pull the plug and everything would be canceled altogether. Like, I understand that fear, but then again, like, take all the good stuff while we can. And as I said before, the most that we can hope for is that Gunn and Safran's influence will be much stronger than Zaslav's creative input, especially when you got to consider the fact that DC is one of the most powerful assets right now at Warner Brothers Discovery. And they want to do everything they can to make sure that they don't want to screw that up, that they want to ensure that at the very least, even if they have nothing else, they want to make sure that the DC brand, especially for movies, for television, and for animation, remains strong. So I can imagine with this decision that they have done here, the fact that David Zaslav, yes, is responsible for bringing in James Gunn and Peter Safran, that hopefully with that choice, Zaslav will trust them to go and make the kind of movies that they want to do, to make the kind of content that people actually want to see from DC, and that they will have more creative freedom, that David Zaslav will give them like a whole bunch of leeway for that. I mean, considering how he's so desperate, considering that he really wants the Flash movie to happen, that I'm hoping that maybe that kind of enthusiasm will also be put onto the future of DC Studios with James Gunn and Peter Safran. But again, I'm just hoping for the best in all this. Like, honestly, I get why some people can't be optimistic, especially with how David Zaslav is running WBD. But for me, I'm going to be optimistic on this, and I'm going to be pleasantly curious to see how James Gunn's and Peter Safran's influence will be put onto the future of DC. And at this point, now we will have a proper commercial break be placed onto here, and we will be right back, and we will get into the next story. And we're back, people. Hey, how are we all doing? Okay, so now that we are back from our break, and now that we finished our first story, the next one that we are about to get into, well, unfortunately, it is going to be a bit of a sad story over here. Sadly, we have lost an animation legend, someone who I could say is probably an animation pioneer, especially with what he has contributed to the medium, and especially with how his content has still lived on even after all these decades, to the point that they're not, they're not just programs, they are traditions, especially that they are traditions for many. So with that said, the next story that I'm going to talk about is the unfortunate passing of Jules Bass. Yes, Jules Bass has sadly passed away recently at the age of 87. Apparently, it is reported, reading from my source on Variety, that it was on a Tuesday at an assistant living facility in Rye, New York. And for those of you who don't know who Jules Bass is, he is actually the second half of Rankin Bass. And if you guys haven't heard, Rankin, or specifically Arthur Rankin Jr., has passed away several years ago, actually way back in 2014, where he passed away at the age of 89. But going back into Rankin Bass, for those of you who don't know, Rankin Bass used to be a pretty dominant force in television animation, where they are actually responsible for some of the most well-known holiday specials on TV. And we're talking about many of the stop motion and even some hand-drawn stuff as well, including The Year Without a Santa Claus, Santa Claus is Coming to Town, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, and Frosty the Snowman. Not to mention, there have been other holidays that Rankin Bass has covered as well. They did Easter with Here Comes Peter Cottontail, and there was also Halloween with Mad Monster Mash. But at the same time, not only were they in charge of working on those little holiday specials, but they have also worked on some fantasy feature films, where after their time with producing those holiday specials, they decided to go and really expand onto feature films and try to create fantasy movies inspired by classic novels. And it's actually both Rankin and Bass who were responsible for directing and creating movies such as The Hobbit, The Last Unicorn, and even the animated adaptation of The Return of the King. And when it comes to Jules Bass specifically, he really was a jack of all trades. This guy was actually credited to be an animator, a producer, a director, a composer, and I think also a lyricist as well. He actually knows how to do so many different aspects of filmmaking, or at least in terms of making animated content, where he really did play a massive role into producing the legendary animated icons that we know today. Now, one thing that I will confess is that, honestly, I'm not one of those people who have grown up with Rankin Bass. I haven't actually watched any of like the Rankin Bass well, okay, I have seen the Rankin Bass specials, but as a kid, I didn't grow up watching stuff like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer or Santa Claus is Coming to Town. So I don't necessarily have that nostalgia impact placed on me personally, but I do understand the massive the massive cultural significance that these Rankin Bass specials have, especially with the contribution of Jules Bass, because as I said before, they are some of the most well-known animated holiday specials, even to the point where Rankin Bass has pretty much developed its own style, that when you do think of that like cute little like when you think about like those cute little stop motion Christmas puppets, you think about Rankin Bass. And they were a massive influence to the point where they even inspired a lot of filmmakers to this day. Like, one fact that I could tell you is that one person who was very much inspired by Rankin Bass was actually Tim Burton. When he created The Nightmare Before Christmas, he wanted to do a bit of his own twist on those Rankin Bass specials to make like this freaky stop motion style feature film. And it's actually thanks to those Rankin Bass specials like that Tim Burton wanted to go and express that holiday mood. And that's why nowadays, when you think about stop motion, often they would be associated with those holidays, not just for Christmas, but I would even say even for Halloween. Like that, I would even debatably say that it is because of Rankin Bass that they were the ones that pretty much initiated having stop motion being stop motion be the go-to animation medium for Halloween. Yes, there's been a whole lot of computer animated works that's Halloween related, and of course a lot of hand-drawn stuff. But when you think about Halloween, you think about stop motion, and that is what they have initially done with Mad Monster Mash. And I know that technically that one is not necessarily as popular as some of the Christmas stuff like Santa Claus is Coming to Town or Rudolph, but still, it is kind of an underrated piece. It is one that still has a bit of that charm that you would expect out of Rankin Bass, but add in a bit of extra spookiness instead of merriment, if you get what I mean. And it's thanks to them why nowadays we have gotten so many stop motion features that are Halloween related. Not just The Nightmare Before Christmas, but even continuing on, stuff such as, well, technically you could say Coraline, but also there's Paranorman, there's Frankenweenie, and even just recently with Wendell and Wild. Like, they all play a significant factor as to how stop motion is heavily associated with holidays, with not just Christmas, but also with Halloween. And speaking of Christmas, to this day, we are still seeing a lot of studios that pay homage to Rankin Bass, that nowadays, whenever we actually do see some TV, like a popular animated show or anything like that, whenever they want to go and do an anime, when they want to do a Christmas special, they would end up creating something that would be stop motion. We have seen SpongeBob has actually done that recently. And this year, apparently there's going to be a Mickey Mouse Christmas special that's going to be all stop motion. And it's all dedicated to the style of Rankin Bass. So the impact of what they have done is prominently there in terms of the holiday sector in animation. They're debatably the most influential holiday animators in history. And this is not even to mention all the different all the different not shows, but the movies that they have done, all the different fantasy films. Like, I know that when it comes to like the the J.R. Tolkien adaptations, like The Hobbit and Return of the King, those would easily end up getting overshadowed by the Peter Jackson adaptations. But that still doesn't change that they are, they are a pretty solid and admirable effort on their own. That there is something that, there is something that is worth actually checking out and see the different style and like the different ways of trying to bring the world of Tolkien, just seeing it come to life, especially in the realm of animation. And I know like some people would even say that it is even a lot more different than what we have seen with Ralph Bakshi's adaptation with his version of The Lord of the Rings, in which he combined elements from Fellowship of the Ring and Two Towers. But then you got Return of the King, which actually does stand out as its own thing. But then you got The Last Unicorn. And The Last Unicorn, I gotta say, is one that I would, maybe this is debatable, and I know some people could argue about this, but if there would be one that would be considered as Rankin Bass's magnum opus, it would have to be The Last Unicorn. Like, that I feel like is an admirable feat. And especially in terms of the cultural impact that nowadays it's considered to be a cult favorite. It's just like the way that they would bring this fantasy world to life, and in a way that feels a lot more different than what you would see in many other fantasy stories. It's just highly admirable. So honestly, for me, I would say maybe my favorite project that they have done would have to be The Last Unicorn. So honestly, overall with this news, I mean, let's be honest here. When it comes to Jules Bass passing away, I think it is safe to say that the man has lived a good full life. This is someone who passed, it's sad that he passed away, but he managed to go down like at a pretty solid age, 87. That, I think at that point, you could say this person has lived a good full life. And especially with the impact that he has done, it's actually amazing. In fact, I would actually say, there were, when I heard this news that Jules Bass has passed away, a part of me was shocked to hear that apparently Jules Bass was still alive, especially after, Arthur Rankin Jr. has passed away, years ago, back in 2014. I was surprised to hear that Bass is still around, that, he's still up and at 'em. He's, oh, excuse me. He may not be making animated content anymore, but he is, he still exists. He was still around. He was still, he was still out and about somewhere. That was honestly shocking, but he did live, he did live a good full life. And especially in this case here, I would say it's a great life because he did manage to be a massive influence in the animation industry. So yes, it is going to be sad to see him go, but overall though, he did a fantastic job in animation, especially with what he has done for all the holidays, and especially for fantasy films as well, a great influence on that. So may Jules Bass rest in peace, and may his legacy continue strong. So with that said though, I would like to go into the chat wall, and I want to ask you all, how do you all feel about Jules Bass's passing? And also, what is your favorite memory related to a Rankin Bass project? And what would you say is your favorite moment related to a Rankin a Rankin Bass special or a Rankin Bass movie? Let me know what you think. Let's see now. So I've not seen a lot of Bass's work, both shorts and movies, kind of like you, Matt, but I did watch the 1998 TV movie version of Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer with Whoopi Goldberg voicing the Snow Queen. May Jules rest in peace with his longtime co-worker Rankin up in Animator's Paradise. Yeah, I think honestly, that is the that's actually the one thing that is actually positive about this news, is that finally Bass can reunite with his longtime partner Rankin. That's like the one happy ending from this news. Let's while I admit that I never watched the Rankin Bass specials side Rudolph, I'll say that Rudolph does have a lot of nostalgic value to me. From the special itself to a YouTube poop I really enjoyed, and of course the meme line. Even if I was never a Rankin Bass guy, I will always hold a space for Rudolph in my memory. So Godspeed, Jules Bass. Would you all join me in a moment for pressing F and saying,
Why weren't you at elf practice?
thank you. All right, let's see what else we have here. Jules Bass will definitely be missed. As a kid, the Christmas specials were one of my big traditions as a kid, and they still are. In fact, I've been making it a tradition to watch Santa Claus Is Coming to Town every year because of its message at the end. And as Quentin Reviews says, the Christmas specials were many people's first cinematic universe, long before Marvel and DC. So rest in peace, Mr. Bass. May your memory be a blessing. That is actually true. There, funny enough, there is actually that little connection between all those different Christmas specials, considering that a lot of them are related to Santa Claus. Like, most of them actually do feature Santa himself. So there is that little connection. How, that's kind of like a strange thing to think about. Where, like, it's kind of true in a way, but it's also weird to say. Rankin Bass's Santa Claus, Santa Claus is to Rankin Bass like what Nick Fury is to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Like, I never thought of that, but there is some truth to it in a way. Wow. Okay. Anyways, what other comments do we have? Hold on a sec. This. Here we go. And thus marks the hold on a sec. And thus marks the end of the legendary stop motion duo. Rankin Bass works may not always reach the same great quality like Disney or DreamWorks, but they all have a certain level of charm that cannot be matched. As for my favorite work of theirs, it's easily The Last Unicorn, just like you, Matt. At the very least, Jules can now finally be with his daughter, Jean, and Arthur. Yeah, again, there is that little sad but happy ending that has happened. Let's see. I think I'll read one more comment before we two more comments actually before we go on a commercial break. Let's see. I remember watching my favorite TV special and movie from Rankin, from Rankin Bass, like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, Frosty the Snowman, The Hobbit, and The Last Unicorn. And hearing that Jules Bass passed away really breaks my heart. This guy really made some stuff along with Arthur Rankin Jr. that made my childhood special and made me love Christmas even more. Also, fun fact, there's a student film called Jesus vs. Frosty because the opening of it has a bit of Rankin Bass theme. Look it up if you don't know it. Oh yeah, I'm sure. Like the funny thing is with Rankin Bass, I know for a fact that it is the subject of parody so many times. Like, trust me, you don't have to tell me that there is like a little parody moment of Rankin Bass because there are so many of them. You have to really specify which one. All right, let's go and read one more before we move on. Let's see. Oh, okay. I'll go with here. I'm not familiar with Jules Bass despite having a few specials like Rudolph and The Hobbit, for example, but it sounds like he was a nice guy and had a good life. The biggest movie I saw from him was the making of the animated King and I. Remember that movie? Oh boy, yeah, that's true. Other than that, rest in peace from him. Rest in peace, and I hope he is reunited with his partner. Did he actually work on The King and I completely forgot. Oh my god. It's been years since I've seen and reviewed that movie, so honestly, like, that memory has just slipped my mind. But yes, may Jules, yeah, but again, as we all said, may Jules Bass rest in peace, and may he finally be reunited with Arthur Rankin Jr. And at this point, we will be right back by talking about our next story that we have on our list. And don't worry, we're definitely going to go and brighten things up. And we're back, folks. And now moving on to our next story. This one, we're going to go into one that's going to be a lot more fun. Now we're going to get into a bit more of the chaotic sense. Because with this story that we have here, this one is actually going to be the grand return of an animated franchise we haven't heard about in years. You probably remember back in 2016 when they made their big debut as an R-rated animated feature that had many talking and actually did successfully well at the box office. Well, a big part of it is because it had an extremely low budget, but still though, things really worked out for this animated movie. But since then, it's been pretty silent since. Not many have talked about it. It was a quick moment that occurred. Well, technically there was a massive controversy with how the animators were treated, but I will get to that a little bit later. But it seems like right now, after all these years, we are going to see the great comeback of Sausage Party. Yes, folks, the horny food is now back. But this time around, they're not going to be back on the big screen. They're going to be back as an animated series for Amazon Prime Video, to which they are calling it Sausage Party Foodtopia. Now, I'm just going to give you a bit of a heads up that there's not a whole lot that we know about what this series is going to be about. We do have some information, but what the series will entail, that I don't know. The most that they have stated is actually reading from my source here on The Hollywood Reporter. This is a quote coming from Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg, as it states here. Film used to be the superior art form to television, and we humbly reached the pinnacle of what could be achieved with film in our remarkable opus, Sausage Party, said executive producers Rogen and Evan Goldberg. But now that film is completely dead and TV is the forever king of entertainment, we decided to continue the epic adventures of our culinary crew in the soon-to-be legendary televised masterpiece, Sausage Party Foodtopia. It's got all the heart, double the puns, and triple the food-on-food sex. In other words, it's exactly what the world needs right now. That's all that we know. And it pretty much says nothing about what the animated series is going to be about. And if this is going to be like a sequel, if this is going to be a prequel, we don't know. All we know is that Sausage Party is coming back and they're going to do a lot more of the crazy stuff that they have done in the movie, but now as an 8-part animated series. Well, okay, maybe not necessarily a limited series. It's not just a part. When it was announced, they stated that it was going to be an 8-course, I think it was like what? An 8-course meal television event. I think that's the way that they worded it. But apparently my source on The Hollywood Reporter said that this is just the first season and we got 8 episodes. Now, it is also worth noting that some of the actors from the movie will be coming back. Maybe not necessarily all of them, but some of them will. It has been confirmed that Seth Rogen, Kristen Wiig, Michael Cera, David Krumholtz, and Edward Norton will be returning to be reprising their roles. However, some of the others, including James Franco, Salma Hayek, Jonah Hill, Danny McBride, and Paul Rudd, are not coming back. Or at the very least, they're not among the list of the cast that will be in the series. Like, maybe they will be reprising their roles as like guest stars or something, but so far it doesn't look like they will fully be coming back. However, we do have some new actors that will be joining the cast, in which it states here that we now also have Will Forte, Sam Richardson, Natasha Rothwell, and Yasir Lester that will be part of the Sausage Party cast. Now, with that said, though, a lot of people may be concerned about who's going to be behind the scenes in all this. The one big worry that many do have is regarding the fact that if some of the controversial people will be returning to this series as well, specifically director Greg Tiernan, since he and Conrad Vernon were the directors of Sausage Party And it's especially through Greg Tiernan's actions that really became controversial in terms of what happened behind the scenes in Sausage Party, and giving us a very prominent example of why animators need unions in order to be better treated and really not be taken full advantage of. But in this case here, however, it looks like, at least in terms of Greg Tiernan, he's not going to be coming back. They have confirmed that the writers of the movie, Ariel Shafir and Kyle Hunter, are going to be executive producers and showrunners, and that Conrad Vernon is going to be the supervising director of the series and not Greg Tiernan. So that's the big thing that we now know about Sausage Party Foodtopia. Oh, and one more thing, even though there is no there is no specific release date as of yet, it has been confirmed, however, that it is going to be released, what was it again? Oh yes, in 2024. So we do know that the series is going to be coming out on Amazon Prime Video in 2024, but other than that, that's the most that we do know. Now, I know that when it comes to Sausage Party, it's a pretty divisive movie. Like, really, I've seen a lot of split opinions when it comes to Sausage Party. It's one of those that people either really love it, or there are those that really do hate it. And there are those that hate it because it's way too raunchy, that it goes a little bit too far with its R rating. And I mean, not a lot of people can really go and stomach that grand finale with that massive food orgy. Like, there are some things where the movie went a little bit too far and they just couldn't really handle it. Me, however, I would say I'm not one of those people. I'm actually one of those that actually really enjoyed Sausage Party. I wouldn't say it's a great movie. But let's be honest, the budget actually really did show, considering that apparently Sony only spent $19 million to go and produce this feature film. And yeah, let's just say that $19 million is not enough to go and make an animated feature. Like, yeah, they pretty much came out of this like through the skins of their teeth. But still, though, it's not ideal to just go and say, here, have a $19 million budget, go make me an animated feature. That's not really fair. But other than that, though, I actually did enjoy Sausage Party. At the very least, I could definitely say that it is the best animated feature released by Sony Pictures that is primarily themed on food. But then again, I know that's not much of a title worth having because it's the only good Sony Pictures movie that's animated and that's themed to food. But anyways, I am actually a fan, and that's actually because of the writing on this. I actually do find this to be a very clever animated feature. Yes, it is extremely raunchy, and they go into massive extremes with all the different R-rated comedic humor that they would go and really unleash. Yeah, like they go into a lot of swearing, they go into a lot of sex jokes and stuff like that, and some of them I could understand. For some it goes way too far, but then again, one thing I really did enjoy is that it actually does have a really powerful, thought-provoking message, and that is unity over religion. The fact that it's more important to be together more so than to have religions keeping us segregated. Because it really goes deep, it really goes deep into satirizing like all these different religions, not just Christianity, but also Judaism, Muslim, Buddhism. Like, they go into all these different religions, and like they show like a lot of their flaws, making fun of them, and show how the whole concept of religion can honestly be massively bullcrap, and that a lot of them are just lies altogether. And this is not to say that being religious is bad, but there are a lot of elements about it that really do feel like a massive sham, and that a lot of it is just entirely based on lies. And and honestly, that's why I do have this admiration towards Sausage Party, because it's not, it's not just raunchy, but it's also really clever. And that's honestly why I am actually optimistically curious about this Sausage Party series. Like, yeah, of course they're going to be advertising to us that there's going to be a lot of that raunchiness. You're going to get a lot of the foods that will go and swear, but there's also going to be a lot of like they even mentioned that they're going to be tripling down on the food on food sex. So yeah, a lot like those extreme elements that they go too far with the R rating. Like if you don't like that, you're not going to like this series altogether. But still though, one thing that I am hoping for is that there is still that there is still that cleverness, that it does have something to legitimately say and to actually make you walk out to actually think. Like that's one thing that I am hoping for with Sausage Party Foodtopia, that they still have that commentary element, that they're not afraid to say to say what they want to say in terms of our of our modern society. And especially in this day and age, I know that there is a lot that they could go and actually comment on, that they could go and actually discuss in terms of some of the recent issues. Especially regarding like maybe they can go into racial issues like Black Lives Matter. They can go and discuss about trans rights. They could talk about being a part of the LGBTQ plus community. They can go into women's rights. They can go into a lot of these different elements. There is a lot that they could go and discuss. And that's what I am hoping that we can go and see in Sausage Party Foodtopia. That, it's not all about the raunchiness. It's not all about, showing scene after scene of just random shock value of, oh, look at how horny these foods are. That there can actually be a lot more that they can go and further discuss, that they can go and analyze, and that they can go and actually say to the audience. That's one thing that I really am hoping for. Rather, if they're going to deliver on that or not is going to be an aspect that we will wait and see. But honestly, that's why I'm pretty optimistic. That's why I would say if we're going to get a Sausage Party series, then you know what? Go for it. Yeah, you could be as crazy, you could be as wild, you could be as horny as you want. But as long as you do have something to say, I think that's going to be the thing that will be worth it. Otherwise, if you're just going to be displaying a whole bunch of shock value and sex scenes and all that kind of stuff, that's going to be a massive turnoff. And that's where you're going to fail to try to attract an audience. So have something to say, try to go and be clever about it. And if you could do so, like if you're going to offer more than just like the stupid food puns, the raunchiness and all that kind of stuff, then we'll probably have a series that could legitimately be worthwhile. At least that's my opinion on this. I don't know like what they might have in store as a series. Maybe they'll go in a completely different direction, but I don't know. We'll just wait and see with how this goes. Now, with that said, I know I don't necessarily have a whole lot to go and say about this, but again, like we don't necessarily have a lot of information. I mean, yeah, sure. Like we got like we got some of the cast coming back. We got some of the others that we may not. And I mean, like, yeah, the actors in there, like they've done a pretty good job, and they do have a significant, they do have the significant ones, that did do decently well, because let's be real. Like one of the better things about Sausage Party is the voice acting. So I'm sure that they're going to be fine in the series as well. But anyways, with that said, I would like to go into the chat wall, and I want to ask you all, how do you all feel about the Sausage Party animated series? How do you feel about Sausage Party Foodtopia? Are you excited about it? Are you a little bit worried? Are you going to stay far away from it? And how do you feel about the 2016 Sausage Party movie? Let me know what you think on this. Let's see now. I was never a fan of Sausage Party because I thought the humor was kind of weak and it was too raunchy, but I did enjoy the voices of Seth Rogen and Kristen Wiig, and there were some jokes here and there that did make me chuckle, so I gave it either a 6 out of 10. And hearing about Sausage Party getting a TV series, that I'm sort of mixed about. I mean, it would be cool if it does get a TV series, but at the same time, I'm not really excited about it, so I'm in no rush to seeing it. Yeah, that could be the one downfall of this series, is because really it's gonna be primarily for a niche audience. Is for those people who really like Sausage Party. Like, it's not just, do you like Sausage Party? It's like, do you like Sausage Party enough to want to see more of it, to see an entire animated series of Sausage Party? Now, that is going to be a bit of a difficult task, or it needs to do so much more than what it did in the animated series to go and really attract an audience to be successful on Amazon Prime Video. Let's see now. Despite not being huge on Sausage Party, I will say that this show could hold some potential. Maybe they could expand on the ending of the first movie where the food enters the real world, maybe end up killing their voice actors, take over the world, start a food uprising, and finish it all with a good old-fashioned anonymous pitch black barn butt F session. Who knows? There's a lot of ideas to be played with, like a hot dog's day. Okay, let's go into the next comment. Out of all the animated movies to get a TV series, Sausage Party is certainly a surprising pick. While I'm not always the biggest fan of the more dirty humor in the movie, and their treatment to the animators was just terrible, I enjoyed a lot of the other parts of the movie, like the message, characters, and animation. There may be not that much info so far, but I am sure of one thing: if they do have more food orgy scenes, Horny Jail is gonna get so filled. Hey, I mean, like, there is a benefit, there is honestly a plus to all this. At least, like, if all those foods are gonna go to Horny Jail, at least, like, the people who are in Horny Jail, they won't go hungry. I mean, like, honestly, there have been times, I will admit, that I do get, I get famished at times when I'm in Horny Jail. So honestly, by 2024, I know, like, I'll happily be stuffing my face with some of the foods. And please don't take that out of context. Don't, I know I talked about Horny Jail, but don't think about what you get what I mean, right? Okay, I know a lot of people are polarized over Sausage Party, but to me, I like this movie a lot. I saw this with my friends in theaters right after I turned 17, which I can watch R-rated films without adult accompanying me, and I had a blast altogether. Making a TV series sounds like a great idea, just as long as Greg Tiernan is not involved, so I wish Seth, Evan, and his team at Point Grey, and others like Annapurna, Sony, and Amazon the best of luck in bringing the series in 2024. Exactly, like, see, this is one person, like, they really enjoy Sausage Party, so this series is going to be for them for sure. You want more Sausage Party? You want more food orgies? There you go. All right, I think I'm going to read one more comment before we move on now. This is an interesting idea. Personally, I really enjoyed Sausage Party, and I thought it was an enjoyable and clever animated film. I think having a series based on it could have a lot of potential, and it could have potential like the movie had. So overall, I'm really excited. However, I'm really hoping that the animators will be treated better this time around after they were treated badly with the movie. Oh yeah, I mean, like, Sausage Party within the animation industry has gathered such an incredibly infamous reputation because of what happened behind the scenes. And I think it is going to be safe to say that history will not be repeating itself, or hopefully, like, with the new people in charge, or like under Conrad Virgin's supervision or his solo supervision, that things will go well. So with that said and done, we'll be right back, and we're going to move on to our next story. And we're back, and it is now time, folks, that we are about to get into the grand finale. And I know some people are a little bit shocked of the fact that, yes, I'm doing the grand finale now. It is actually because, well, pretty soon I actually got some reservations that I got to go to. So I do have to cut short, and I got to go and talk about 4 stories here instead of 5. So hopefully you do understand. But anyways, now with this grand finale, we're gonna go and do something a little bit different. Instead of going into the realm of entertainment and animation, we are gonna go into, well, where we are right now and what you are currently using, the internet. Because there is one piece of news that did happen that a lot of people say is changing the landscape of the internet, but I do have a lot that I want to say about this entire situation, because it truly is a very fascinating discussion that we are about to have. And what I'm talking about, of course, is in regards to Elon Musk. Yes, it is official, people. After months of saying that he was going to do it, of trying to avoid it, and having a court case where he has no choice but to do it, Elon Musk has now officially officially owns Twitter. Now, for a long time, I think it's been ever since April, that Elon Musk suddenly came in and made this massive announcement regarding the fact that he was gonna go and acquire Twitter. And he made these like crazy promises that there would be free speech for everyone, that it would be limitless free speech, that you would not get banned or suspended over anything you would say, that the people who were banned are going to be coming back onto Twitter and all that kind of stuff, that it would be a far-right safe haven down at Twitter. But then, of course, he tried to bail out on the whole deal because, well, let's be honest, he never really had any intentions of buying Twitter. It was more as a scheme to go and lift up the stocks for Tesla and some of his other assets. And then ultimately, we had this entire court case where the judge forced Elon Musk to pay $44 billion in order to go and officially acquire Twitter. And already on the spot, when he immediately came in and got in charge of Twitter, or when he became in charge of Twitter, one of the first things that he immediately did was try to make a joke that literally nobody laughed whatsoever. But on top of that, he has also revealed that he went and fired the top executives at Twitter. So he stepped in and he officially fired the chief executive, Parag Agrawal, chief financial officer, Ned Segal, and the head of legal policy, trust, and safety, Vijaya Gade, or Vijaya Gad, or I don't know, I might have said her name wrong. But that is one of the first major things that Elon Musk has apparently done when he immediately became in charge of Twitter. And also, another significant thing that did happen was that when Elon Musk owned Twitter, suddenly the hate speech was at an all-time high, where a bunch of far-right incels and a bunch of creeps came into Twitter, and they decided to go and really put that to the test, where a whole bunch of slurs and discriminatory terms were pretty much at an all-time high, where Elon Musk pretty much caused people to go and say the R word, to say the N word, to be as heavily bigoted as they would wish. Like, that really went on the rise. And right now, many people are pretty much debating about the possibility, rather if they want to go and quit Twitter or not, that they want to ultimately bail out, that maybe they don't want to go into there, and that they would be worried if Elon Musk would be true to his word, and that it would really be like hate speech-topia down at Twitter, where people are free to say all the derogatory terms, that they could be as heavily bigoted as they want, that they could spread all the misinformation that they wish. So that's the big thing that people are ultimately worried about, that we are seeing some of that now. But is this going to be the case in the long run? Is it really, like, did Elon Musk screw over Twitter now that it has ultimately become a far-right space, a far-right safe space, where now people can be as heavily bigoted and be all like just massive bullies to whoever they want to be without any consequences? Is this actually the case? If I may go and express my opinion, to be very honest, no, that is not gonna happen. Now, I'm just going to say right now, I know that when it comes to Twitter, they don't have a perfect system. That they have a long history of letting things slide in the platform where a lot of racism, a lot of homophobia, a lot of transphobia especially, a lot of misogyny, and a lot of bigotry in general have slid into, they pretty much slid easily onto Twitter. However, the whole hate speech safe haven thing, that is never going to happen. And that is because of the fact that hate speech is not profitable. And if there's one thing that people like Elon Musk cares the most about, more than literally anything else, is his own wealth. And already he has spent over he spent $44 billion on Twitter. And I can guarantee you right now, considering that even beforehand, Twitter's business has been pretty shaky where they were really having a hard time trying to find a profit. I can guarantee you that Elon Musk is not going to make any money whatsoever. Like already through this acquisition, he has already lost a whole bunch of billions. Like he already lost billions of dollars. How much, either if it's a little bit or if it's like all of that 44 billion, I don't know. But either way, this is already a massive L for Elon Musk. So he already spent that much money, and I'm pretty sure that he is pretty much in the position where he doesn't want to go and lose more. And he's not going to let some hate speech people to go and flourish on his platform so that they could go and do whatever they want. And Elon will just end up losing money again and again and again and again. Because the more that hate speech would be prominent and flourish, the more that big companies are going to go and avoid putting their ads onto that. And that's the biggest way that Twitter can actually go and make money on the platform, is if they would go and give out ads. But if they do see that the platform would heavily promote hate speech and spreading misinformation, they're going to go and heavily bail out on that, which this is going to be something that I will be repeating. But the truth of the matter is that Elon Musk is now officially stuck in a really bad position. He's like literally stuck between a rock and a hard place, where it's either he would go and keep his promise of letting freedom of speech like fully flourish and have it be limitless, and that all the advertisers would pull out and it would ultimately destroy Twitter and it would destroy Elon Musk's wealth. Or he would go and break his promise where he would maintain his wealth. He would maintain the bans on all forms of bigotry onto Twitter, and that, he wouldn't let any of the banned people come back. He wouldn't let conspiracy theories fly and all that kind of stuff. And he would run the risk of being attacked by all these far-right fanboys. In fact, let me show you this one article over here. This is an article that I highly recommend that you all go and check out. It's called Welcome to Hell, Elon by Nilay Patel, and you can find this on The Verge. This is an absolute masterpiece of an article that really does describe why the only person who's going to lose so much on this is Elon Musk. That really, a lot of people will say that Twitter is a hellscape right now, but the only person in which Twitter is a true hell for is Elon Musk. And there's actually one passage that actually summarized perfectly as to why specifically hate speech cannot flourish onto Twitter, or at least not for long. It is actually, where would that passage be? Somewhere. Yes, it's right over here, where it states, you can write as many polite letters to advertisers as you want, but you cannot reasonably expect to collect any meaningful advertising revenue if you do not promise those advertisers brand safety. That means you have to ban racism, sexism, transphobia, and all kinds of other speech that is totally legal in the United States, but reveals people to be total assholes. So you can make all the promises about free speech you want, but the dull reality is that you still have to ban a bunch of legal speech if you want to make money. And while you start doing that, your creepy new right-wing fanboys are going to viciously turn on you. just like they turn on every other social network that realizes the same essential truth. So the thing is that he has to choose one or another. He has to pick either if he wants to make money or if he wants to make hate speech flourish. And we all know for a fact that the one solution that Elon will pick is make money, because his wealth is more important than anyone else. And before anything, I just want to go and make this statement over here. I just want to go and have a discussion that I know there are going to be some people who will state, well, actually, Elon Musk said himself that he cares more about freedom of speech more so than money. So he will make sure that freedom of speech will flourish on Twitter, and it doesn't matter how much money he'll lose. That is an absolute lie. I think that is the absolute proof that Elon Musk fanboys are objectively idiots. If you unironically do believe that, then honestly, you're not the kind of person that is worth talking to or even having a discussion, because whatever you may think, it's automatically wrong on the spot. The thing is with when it comes to conservative billionaires, yes, they may have a lot of power, but they also have a very obvious weakness, and that is their wealth. And when you put their wealth in danger, they will immediately become socialists just like that. Suddenly they will take the liberal route in order to go and protect all the money that they have. And we have actually seen some very recent examples of that, where we've seen some conservative billionaires where they actually caved in to liberal demands in order to abandon hate speech and abandon the far-right fanboys. One example is, I believe, is the company MediaFlare. Like, you probably remember the whole Kiwi Farms controversy. For many years, MediaFlare hosted Kiwi Farms, and it was run by this very stern conservative man that he was also another person that heavily believed in freedom of speech, and he considered what the people at Kiwi Farms was doing as freedom of speech, even though it could also be considered to be outright domestic terrorism. But then suddenly, more and more, we see the controversy with Kiwi Farm flourish, that the whole campaign that Kiefels tried to create was actually working like really, really well. And it ultimately really costed MediaFlare billions of dollars, and they were pretty much pushed to the corner where their business would fall if they did not take down Kiwi Farms. And ultimately, they decided that they would go and comply, and they ultimately removed Kiwi Farms from their platform. And that's why nowadays, maybe it's debatable if you could say that Kiwi Farms is officially dead or not, but now the platform is like on its last legs. Like, it's barely trying to survive. It's it's pretty much plugged in on life support, and like it's just too easy for it to just like trip and suddenly unplug it to the point where it would just be flatlined. That is one example. But then there's also another one that we've just recently seen, and I'm sure you have heard about this: Kanye West. You probably heard the big controversy with Kanye West where he made death threats towards Jews. Kanye West is pretty much the kind of guy who would just be spewing out death threats and conspiracy theories and all forms of bigotry that Trump supporters, the far right, and anti-woke people all dream of doing. They want to be like Kanye West, where they want to be as bigoted and say whatever hate-filled speech that they want without any form of consequences. But when he made those death threats towards Jews, that's when his business crumbled. He actually went from a billionaire to a millionaire. And I know that doesn't sound like much, because Kanye West is still rich, he's still pretty wealthy, but still, having that status of going from billionaire to millionaire because he pretty much expressed hate speech, that is a big deal. And even nowadays, like, we actually saw that Kanye West lost so many deals with different companies, with Adidas, with his agency, with record labels. Like, no company would want to go near him with a 10-foot pole. And even at this point, I believe Kanye West himself actually stated that because of his hate speech, he ended up losing $2 billion just like that. And even nowadays, we're actually seeing Kanye West backtracking from the things that he said before. I mean, he's backtracking and he's like tripping on his own 2 feet and just embarrassing himself even further, but he is still backtracking from the things that he said. He's no longer making death threats towards Jews. He's no longer saying that white lives matter. He's no longer saying to go and get rid of the 14th Amendment and that slavery was a choice and all that bullcrap. He's starting to backtrack because now he knows that hate speech is losing him money. And if Elon Musk actually does care about his business, he would not want to go on that same path because he knows that he has already lost billions on Twitter and he's not going to go and risk, he's not going to risk losing billions of dollars more just to go and make a few edgelords happy. He's not going to risk billions of dollars just so you can have the freedom to go and say the N-word towards any black person that you want. He's not going to risk billions of dollars just so you can go and misgender every trans person that you would go and interact with. That's not gonna happen. And the truth of the fact is that Elon Musk is gonna go and ban these people. He's gonna still go and put that suspension. He's still gonna go and put those ban onto people. We actually did see that he did backtrack on one of the promises. We have yet to see any person who was banned on Twitter actually come back. That ain't you're not gonna see Trump or Alex Jones come back. So you know for a fact that Elon Musk cares more about the money and only about the money. In fact, I can even say right now, Elon Musk would be happy to go and ban every right-wing influencer, and he would put a total ban on all forms of hate speech if that means to make more money. So that's the reality of the situation. His whole freedom of speech thing, that's a flat out lie. And everyone knows is a flat out lie. And if you're really so desperate to go and express your hate speech and try to be as bigoted towards everyone else, well, that's your problem. That's just because you have a mental illness and that you need to be forced to therapy to get cured. But there is also another reason. There is also, another thing why Elon Musk is screwed over, and I'll be back. I'm going to take a commercial break right now, and I will explain to you another thing of why Elon Musk is screwed and why Elon Musk is currently living in his own hell with Twitter. So let me be right back. Let me prepare this for you all. And we are back. Now, there is something else that I do want to go and discuss in regards to what we have seen with Elon Musk. Now, I've already told you about how hate speech will not be flourishing onto Twitter, that it is a flat out lie, and that you could still go and report all these bigots and that they will indeed be banned. But there is also another thing about why Elon Musk is pretty much screwed on this. Because the thing is, you got to think about Twitter, where it's not really a tech company. It's actually a communications company. It's not about the latest gadgets. It's not about the latest technology that they're trying to go and implement. Twitter is all about communication. It's all about the way that we would talk to one another and how we would go and express ourselves. That's the whole point of it. And say what you will about Elon Musk as a tech guy. Say what you will about his business with Tesla, and say what you will about his business with SpaceX. The dude, however, sucks at communication. He is not the best at it. And beforehand, when he would go and use his freedom of speech per se, or whenever he would go and make a comment about anything, it would only affect his businesses slightly. Like, yeah, you would see it affect the stocks and stuff like that, but it wouldn't necessarily hurt his wallet that much. However, now that he is running a company that is fully fueled by communications, everything that he says is a liability to what would happen to the business side of Twitter. And it could really go and screw him over. So ultimately, the sad reality, and honestly, not the sad reality, the cruel irony of Elon Musk's position right now is that even though he promises everyone freedom of speech, he himself ended up suppressing his own freedom of speech further and further, where technically he can, he can express his freedom of speech, but it's going to screw him even harder than it ever did before. Where if he joins in the far right crowd to go and spread misinformation or to encourage bigotry or whatever, this would end up hurting his bottom dollar. It's going to really hurt the business of Twitter, considering that he has now become the face of Twitter, just like how Mark Zuckerberg has now become the face of Facebook and Meta. And you've probably heard the reports of how the business of Meta is tanking so hard and it's reflecting very negatively on Mark Zuckerberg. The same thing is also happening with Elon Musk right now. That's why we are seeing, like, even right now with the whole controversy that because like Elon Musk has enabled bigots to go and freely express all the slurs they want on Twitter, that actually is reflected negatively on Elon Musk, and it's for sure going to cost him millions of dollars in terms of stocks, in terms of business, in terms of market cap, and all that kind of stuff. But the worst thing, however, is that Elon can no longer be openly political, because the more he would go and try to join in like his Republican friends, like try to spread misinformation and stuff like that, the more it will end up hurting him and hurting his wallet. Like, it's going to really make his business look bad. And we've actually just seen a very recent example of this. You probably have heard about the news about the Trump supporter who has attacked Paul Pelosi, who is Nancy Pelosi's husband. And the dude apparently is completely psychotic to the point that he actually has a hit list of all the Democrats he wants to go and attack and possibly even assassinate. And it has been confirmed that this person is a full red-pilled Trump-supporting Republican who has been radicalized by Gamergate. However, what Republicans are trying to do is try to lie. They want to try to lie out of this situation, and instead of trying to condemn political violence or anything like that, they try to frame it as if, oh, the dude is actually Antifa. He's actually Black Lives Matter. He's actually a liberal, which is all proven to be absolute false. And it looks like Trump supporters seem to be perfectly fine with violence towards Democrats. They're not going to go and condemn the attack of Paul Pelosi, but they want to do everything they can to not be held accountable for the actions of the psychotic Trump supporter. And Elon Musk himself tried to join in on that crowd, and I believe it was a response to Hillary Clinton, whom she condemned the attacks, but Elon Musk tried to share an article that spreaded fake information in regards to the attacker. Like, he tried to say himself that, no, it was actually a Democrat, and he got massively called out by it. Like, all the media sources pretty much called him out and pretty much said that Elon Musk also tried to spread false information in regards to the attacks on Paul Pelosi, which ultimately resulted in Elon Musk to delete that, to delete the false information that he ultimately spread. And at that point, it pretty much reflects upon the reality that it's something that Elon Musk can no longer do. He can no longer, participate in these political games anymore. He can no longer go and try to express his right-wing feelings or try to add his piece into whatever conservative events that has recently gone on. He can't do that, or else he'll risk losing even more billions of dollars onto his business. And the more he would be exposed that he himself is too incompetent to be running Twitter, that he himself isn't smart enough to go and actually follow the guidelines of his own company. And worst of all, by the way, that's only in regards to the politics of the United States. Oh boy, things go even worse and even more complicated for him when you go into other countries as well, where they have their own laws, they have their own rules, and they have their own major events in which Twitter could play a very significant role, and it would just make things so much worse. In fact, again, going back into this Verge article, there's a lot going on in which they stated that oh boy, like when you go into the international aspect of things, it just makes things worse for Elon. As it states, as it gets worse, it gets worse the second you leave the United States. Germany is a huge market for Tesla. Are you going to flout Germany's speech laws? I would be not. The Indian government basically demands social media companies provide potential hostages in order to operate in that country. You can't engineer your way out of that crap. Are you ready to experience the pressure Twitter faces in the Middle East to block and restrict accounts? Are you ready for the fact that the Iranian government will freaking murder people over their social media posts? Are you ready for how Twitter is being used by Iranian protesting that government right now? Are you excited for the Chinese government to find ways to threaten Tesla's huge businesses in that country over content that appears on Twitter? Because it's going to happen. And this is the dark truth about Elon Musk's position. And the thing is that this isn't going to endanger the $44 billion investment that Elon Musk put in. This actually goes so much worse. This could ultimately become a massive liability for Elon Musk in the long run. There is legitimately a chance that Elon Musk is gonna become poor because of this. I kid you not. Because think about it. Imagine the worst case scenario occurs and that Elon Musk destroys Twitter. That because of his incompetent conservative ways, that he completely takes it down. His $44 billion is completely lost. The rest of the money that he has, that's going to be all gone too, because all of his funders, whether they be big companies or governments, they're going to bail out because they don't want to do business with the man who destroyed Twitter and wasted $44 billion due to his own incompetence. They're not going to work with him anymore, and he's just going to see all that money just fly away. And that also means that his businesses with stuff like SpaceX and with Tesla, they're also going to be gone as well because they don't want to be associated with Elon Musk whatsoever, and thus leading to his wealth to just gradually disappear and again to ultimately become poor. I know there are going to be people out there who might say that, oh, I'm just exaggerating. There's no way Elon Musk is going to be poor. Yeah, maybe there might be a low chance that Elon Musk will lose all of his money and he will be a part of the lower class because of this. But just remember this, because of Twitter, it's no longer zero. It's no longer zero. And that's what we are currently seeing right now. That's why in a way, we are watching the downfall of Elon Musk because of all this is happening. And again, Elon Musk is now stuck between a rock and a hard place. And either side that he chooses to go is not going to end well for him. It's either he risks still being political, still openly expressing his far-right views, still giving the promise of all the hate speech for all the far-right to go and freely express, like he'll keep all that promise, and he'll risk ultimately taking down Twitter, ultimately taking down his business, and ultimately becoming poor because of that. He'll ruin everything. Like, we will lose a massive social media site because of that. Or he goes into the other way, that he still keeps the ban on hate speech. He still keeps the ban on all those people who were banned. He will silence his own politics. He will forever remain politically neutral, and he will be at risk of being attacked by all the Trump supporters, by the anti-woke people, by the QAnon people, and all those people. They will go and treat Elon Musk like how they are currently treating Jews. It's in either way, it's not going to end well for Elon Musk. And whichever side that he picks, well, ultimately, it's at the end of the day, there will be no happy ending for Elon Musk. He's going to go by the way of NFTs and crypto, and he's just going to go down and down and down to the point of just financially perish. So overall, this is exactly why I'm not too worried about Twitter's future. Because it is either that hate speech will still, hate speech will still be banned, that it will still be, that you'll still not be allowed to go and say all the slurs and all the bigoted things that you want. In fact, I actually did manage to get one person banned who tried to go and share all these different slurs. I reported them and now they're gone. So it is still possible. And by the way, I just wanted to go and add that when it comes to like hate speech on Twitter, yeah, it's on the rise right now. But what's also on the rise that not many people are telling you is that there are thousands upon thousands of accounts that are being suspended and that they are being full on banned. That there is no way that they are going to be coming back, that they've overestimated the situation, and that they were dumb enough to believe in Elon Musk's lies. So that's why right now, you could still go and report on hate speech. It is still technically banned on the social media account. And going back to what I said before, I'm not worried if, I'm not worried about Twitter because hate speech is still banned. And if Elon Musk cares about his money, he will keep it banned. And it will just piss off the far right where they will realize the reality that they don't really have as much power as they believe they have. So that's just their problem. But then there's the other side that if he still does if he's still being as incompetent as he is, if he's still trying to be as far right as he wants, well, then Twitter is going to be dead. Twitter is going to be collapsing in itself. And I will say right now, if Elon Musk really is true to his word, I don't mind quitting Twitter altogether. Like, I know I've collected a massive following over the years on that site, but honestly, if he's going to keep his promise and bring back all those psychotic white supremacists like Alex Jones or Nick Recchietta or Donald Trump or any of those people, then honestly, screw this. I'm done. I'm not going to be, I'm going to be deleting the app and I'm leaving, I'm going to be like, all right, I'm going to head out. So that's the big thing. Really, this is a big hell for Elon Musk. Yeah, some people are going to desperately try to go and say, well, Elon Musk knows what he's doing. Oh yeah, everything he does is on purpose. No, it's not. He's incompetent. He doesn't know what he's doing, and he doesn't deserve to have any of the wealth. Elon Musk deserves to be poor, just like all of his followers. They only deserve failure if they really are that dumb to believe that someone like Elon Musk is a full-on genius. I mean, we have already seen that happen when they listened to him with all the crypto garbage. So the same thing is going to happen with Twitter. So, with that said, I would like to go into the chat wall, and I want to know what you think about this entire Twitter scenario. How do you guys feel? And are you going to stay on Twitter or are you going to leave Twitter? Let me know what you think. Do I still have water? Yes. Let's see. I used very rarely Twitter during those past 10 plus years, less than once per year. I'm not regretting deleting my almost unused account on this soon-to-be defunct platform. As soon as I learned that Musk bought it, even Discord has more moderation efforts than Twitter. So long, Bluebird of straitjacket freedom. It was plain bland using you in the first place. Well, okay, well, that's not much of a loss for you, so don't seem that you don't seem to mind that much. Let's see. Elon Musk really stepped into a minefield of risk. I don't think buying Twitter was a good idea for anyone, honestly. In fact, there is a very, very, very good reason why Bob Iger bailed out from buying Twitter all those years ago. And the funny thing is that keep in mind, Elon Musk didn't buy Twitter. He was forced to buy Twitter. He literally spent months trying to bail out on the deal. He tried to escape it as much as he can, and keep trying to trying to make Twitter look bad as desperately as possible. Like, he was desperate to try to like really make them look bad, trying to like get out as much as he can, but he was forced upon by the court. So this was not his choice. He didn't deliberately go and say, yeah, I meant to do that. No, he was forced to go and do so. And now he is going to pay, like, he's going to literally pay for it, but also he's going to figuratively pay for now being the owner of Twitter. So he needs to really be careful what he says, and he would have to really consider to just keep his politics out of the public eye. Oh, let's see what else here. Get woke, go broke? More like get anti-woke and risk going broke in this case. Or it's pretty much pretty much what you want to say is go woke or go broke. That's the true term here. Kanye West seemed to learn that the hard way. Elon Musk is on, well, that's honestly debatable, but Elon Musk is on thin ice himself. Either way, Twitter is still a hot mess of a social media site. It's a good thing that I'm not an avid Twitter user, so it's not a personal loss for me. And yeah, pretty soon I actually do have to go, so I'll only have to read, I could only read one more comment. So Elon is pretty much the worst kind of billionaire, the one where his ego and money makes him both untouchable and ignorant to consequences. But now with the purchase of Twitter, Elon may just finally be taught a truly harsh lesson. No matter what he does with Twitter now, he is going to face hate from either side of the political spectrum. Oh, and if you guys want to laugh, you should read his speech about buying Twitter. It's basically a villain speech from Gundam. Yeah, exactly. And with that said, that should do it for today's episode of AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast. Sorry to cut this short, people. I do have to go very, very soon. But hey, I'm glad that we all had fun, and I will try to go and experiment a little bit more with the ads thing, but hopefully it will make for a great experience, and I hope you all enjoyed that, by the way. So tune in next time for more crazy stories, and of course, thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for watching, and by the way, don't forget to go and subscribe to don't forget to subscribe on Twitch. Don't forget to subscribe to the AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast YouTube channel, and also don't forget to go and follow me on whatever podcast service that you're listening to. So thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, see you later, dudes.